Yeah, and then not asking for anything in particular, so I'll just see what sticks out. Is dash jump? I can't tell if that was a dash jump or not. I think you want to be dash jumping there if you want that to reach. And overall, it's going to be a slower round start than just a forward jump light kick or jump light punch. Obviously, they beat different things, but okay. That's that. We're playing neutral. Yeah, when she's in the air. This button's nuts. Jump heavy kick is nuts. Always kind of gotta be respecting those. Hacking back into the corner. Oh wait, I have a different pause that doesn't bring up that menu. A little bit out of it right now. Right, tech out of the corner. There we go. Instant mix. A little sketchy. Which setup? Up. Yep. It's a thing you gotta know. I know, especially for first layers, I tend to default to doing a burst bait, which, if you want to be doing a burst bait off of this, you need to set up this with jab instead of light kick. Everything else works the same, so you still have all your other options. But if you want to add a burst bait layer, you need to make sure jab is in the IPS pool. And then if you jab, I can go frame by frame. If you jab here-ish, it's hardest on the lights on the small characters, but it's universal. Jab to medium punch is a burst bait. I know Gelato prefers to just do meaty left-right, so instead of making sure the jab combos, if you do either setup, and then you can either do the cross-under or same side, and if you time a jab, there's no way for them to press a button, there's no way for them, unless they have an air reversal. But that's a whole different bag of worms. There's no way for them to double jump out, yada yada yada. And so that's usually layer one to force people to go, okay, I need to hold this. And that's when you kind of start going for a high-low. Also, a forward throw is always a really good option here. You can't double jump out of that. Again, it loses to just people like mashing reversal. And obviously when you're not on the ground, so if you go for the throw option, most air supers don't have hit stop, so you actually can try and get a pillar out in time. If you're in the air, you can't do that. So it's the give and take for all that sort of stuff. Just kind of the options off that setup. PBGC jab, unfortunate drop. So you're doing some good things here. Like, you're boxing out space, you're making it really hard to approach. You're being a bit preemptive. But I mean, this is how I play Parasol too. So you're just making it really annoying. Choking out space. All this was really good. This is not what I'm as excited about. Afterwards, you just gave them all the space in the world. And then just fully reset neutral, let them get a lot of space mid-screen. So I think you can pull your ground. You did run back in to choke it out, but yeah. You don't always gotta run all the way away before going back in. Parasol is most threatening when she's in her like jab range, because then dash up lows are a threat, jab stuffs a lot of things. Obviously it changes from matchup to matchup, but it's never really a awful range to be in. Yep. The only way you're converting off of that hit above you is with Jump Heavy Punch. And even then, if you hit them high enough above you, it still won't work. A little bit slow on the confirm, unfortunate. Hit overhead. Zoom through the combo, back to neutral. Brave, but it works. I don't know how much hit stop this has. Actually, I can look this up right now. Hopefully the information's on the wiki. That Black Dahlia page might not actually be fleshed out yet. Supers. No properties out yet. I want to say you can just snap her for this. Snapping is how you get rid of this immediately. Because you're not forced to block anything right here, so you're free to act as you wish. So they're kind of just doing this in your face. I don't actually know how unsafe it is, though, so that's probably something to check. Yep. You got the hit and then snapped. Very good. Just keep going. Second round start in a row, you've gone for up back air, or up forward air throw. Getting caught up backing. Getting caught up backing. Dashing up low. Thank you. Well, I guess we might have thought we were catching them, but yeah. This is pretty expensive. At the very least here, I personally would opt to just get myself out of the corner. At least use the bar to have side switched. You can do that either by sweeping and then L-shot under them using the forward momentum. The thing I tend to do is either jump over them, or if I'm not able to fully jump over them, stomp, do jump to medium kick while I'm getting over them to get the extra height, and then land as the lockdown was ending with Spiral Flare. That's kind of how I end up doing a lot of that. He's got a gun. Yeah. Then get rid of all of them. Well, Beowulf matchup. Like exact same round start, third time in a row. It's your turn here. If they do this in your face, they are -2. 2 LP. 2 LP keeps you plus. It's not going to whiff at this range. It's a good button. It's still 7 frames, unfortunately. But if you do it right, you beat any of Beowulf's fastest options, so you then lose to armor. Which, if you see it coming fast enough, 2 LP, 2 medium punch should break everything besides them doing sweep in your face. Because I think sweep has 3 hits of armor. But yeah, obviously arm also, but that's some psychopath stuff that only really happens in Yomi. Yeah, it is your turn after you block that second blitzer down back. And wolf shoot and block string. Heck out of the corner. Love to see it. Get caught by blitzer. No, that's low. We are mixing. Got the corner. That's hard. That's really hard. Button to hit. Oh. I'm going to go back. Oh, I think we just didn't want that at all. Yeah, no, that's... Can't actually speed up through that even because that's wild. Hope forward jump light punch lost super jump. It's a little weird. Very brave jab, but it worked. Six medium punch already moves you forward a little bit, so I think at that range you could have just done 6 medium punch and then tried to go into a launcher. You might have needed to do stand heavy punch X2 snipe. The range is a little awkward. We are jumping. Yep. L shot at any range besides like max. Or were you pressing something after that L shot? Because that M shot was about the same range and you're able to block. Another thing you can do is, even if you are going to get hit, I think you can cancel onto bikes and prevent them getting a pickup. You'll trade, you'll take more damage for that meter expenditure, but you will return to neutral afterwards, I'm pretty sure. It's really hard to react that quickly, for the record, so would be very worried about that. Yep. Jab. Oh, they were close enough for that. Interesting. Yeah. She doesn't have any overheads that are quick in block strings. She has her heavy, and it's very similar to how you'd try and treat it for Swiggly or Parasol, where once you block the first hit, you're kind of just blocking down back and trying to react to overheads. Yeah. I personally don't like the full screen snipes. I know some people like them more, but especially in the air, my argument is you don't really get any follow-up on them. That's a snipe. So as you play the character, you'll learn the ranges at which whole shot will not combo. You either need to then... You're solo right now, so you don't have the option of using assist. You can also snipe and then pick up with... I do typically like 5 light kick x2 or 2 LK x1 2 HP and go into a launcher route. Hold this, hold this. Yeah, pressing against Ice Shot. It's not really gonna do you much. I can't remember how well it deals with I mean, it deals with it either, and I want to say I remember it being wacky. Alright, snipe. Killer Bikes. Mr. Dash. Nice. Oh no! We don't got a mix here. We had all the options for IPS to finish that out fully. No one or damage. Again, the same round start. Like if I see you do the same round start that many times, I am committing to the biggest read possible and going for a heavy counter hit. Like I'm doing round start launcher. Because at that point it's not even really a prediction. This is the one thing you've shown me you're willing to do. And as far as I'm aware, you don't have any other game plans. So, I really like Emigrit here. I think Emigrit does a lot of work dealing with full screen Dahlia. I think her highest shot goes over, but her highest shot moves so slowly that you let Emigrit block all the projectiles and then just run under it. Obviously, you're then running into jump heavy kick range, and so you start need to be thinking about always be blocking there, yada yada yada. But for just dealing with this sort of garbage, Emigrit's phenomenal. Emigrit blocks all of that. Buys you time, gives you a nice little chunk of meter. It's a really good tool. I like it a lot in this matchup. Yeah, we got the snipe, but don't get that much pressure off of it. Hold this. We gotta get a block and push blocker out. What in the world is going on here? I mean, you got hit by a same side bid, but it's really hard to figure out what's going on in that situation. Everything is happening. I can't really... Bursting. So, one thing, if you know the tier is gonna hit, Actually, no, this is for detonate. But if you know the tier's gonna hit, detonate into bikes works full screen. So it's a higher damage confirm. I think this gives you slightly more time to set up afterwards, but it's relatively comparable. Yep, Bear Trap blocks your shot. Always gotta keep that in mind. Okay, that snipe kills. Run away from the teleport. Honestly, I agree. Swung into the trap. Burst. Snipe. Snipe. Yeah. You might be able to level 3 there. Oh, I would not level 3 here. That meter is valuable. Yeah. That level 3 cost us a lot. They no longer need to respect pillar bikes. Like just raw level 3 is also just one of your best reaction tools in the yeah. So we go for a throw. Yep. Dealing with shots. Name of this game, avoid getting tiers on you. Try and get a tier on them also in the process. Very hard when you don't have an assist in it. Other bikes. That's not gonna combo. You didn't have OTG, so Snipe would have actually not given you much there. Usually, I don't know if you had the range for this. The confirm I like going for off of bikes is light kick launcher. It would have been close, but Paris was pretty easy to combo, so I think the 2 heavy punch would have hit. And then you just go into your your usual stuff where you like go into the routes that lead to the cross under mix, and then you stabilize the route there. All that sort of shebang. You may have also just been able to do stun heavy punch 1 and get an ult shot off here, but the second one pushed them too far away. So understanding what parts of your routes need to be adjusted for distance, and this is also true for like height. So if you're doing any string that ends with jump medium punch, that actually has a lot of hit stun, so you can delay your re-jump a little bit. It's less true if you're going for the jump medium kick conversion off of it, but Parasol combos are a lot about knowing what minor delays or what omissions will make things a lot more stable for you to then do a like standard route afterwards with the buttons you have left. And that kind of just comes with time and combo familiarity. Tech into the corner, heavy counter hit. Ooh. Unfortunate. Dash up throw, yeah. It's a reasonable option. It's the first time they show they'd mash on your approach, so it happens. Information gained. Tier on them. Yep. Boop, boop, boop. Group E. It's a little awkward. Hill. Looks like we've got a little bit of a L-shot habit. Which can be dangerous. I do it too. A lot of Parasols do it. Unlearning just wanting to have something when they're like in a really dangerous space in front of you is really important, because autopiloting into L-shot in a lot of situations can end up just killing you. This is a lot of meter to not kill a character. Very brave for you to press a button. Snap. You got the corner. Gotta be a little faster setting up that incoming. Don't get our L shot. Level 3 the assist. Fair. That's half her health gone. Are you just dead? Probably. Oh. Personally, I would have voted to just make sure that character was dead. These level 3s... So... The only way this ever goes in your favor is if your opponent makes a mistake. If they're on the ground, you get 1 50-50, maybe 2. If they're in the air, they literally just need to reaction tech, otherwise they're fine. Or if they reaction tech, they are fine. I understand the want to hold them in place. It feels pretty good. But then afterwards, especially in the majority of situations when you don't end up getting the hit, it feels really bad, because that's 3 bar gone. And as I said earlier, that super is one of the best reactive supers in the game. It's solid. It's pretty solid. One of the best might be a stretch, but it's a really strong tool for Parasol. As you saw earlier, like hitting that assist. Does a lot of good things. Snipe. Yep. I agree. That there was a chance that didn't chip out if they blocked it, but I would have gotten for it too. So I gotta go back to retail. In which case, gotta do this. Wait for OBS to start capturing it again. Yeah, and now we can get to the 7 games you shot me today. Ah. JP. What was our own start? So we didn't go for round start throw, we were playing a different character. We did still go for an up forward round start, which is one of the most aggressive options. What happened here? Punish them for hitting your assist, don't get the combo afterwards. I think if you want to be comboing after this, you're needing to fast fall. Your fast fall option is jump heavy kick. You hit jump heavy kick, hit the ground faster, or are able to press a grounded button faster. I'm pretty sure that's where the majority of double confirms, especially off of higher jump heavy punches come from. You might have also just got the kills, which would be awkward. Fleshed up, get jab checked. Did we do fleshed up plus assist, or did we call it? We called it while we were getting hit. I'm assuming we're earning the DP assist. I'll check while we're happy birthday. Yeah. Calling it while getting hit is really scary. Like, it can help on defense, but that can also happen, where you just get hit before it ever has a chance to come out because you were calling it while you were getting mixed. Where did we mash? We tried to do frame trap, okay. Yeah, if we're gonna hit... I guess you might have been thinking you could catch Big Band with that DP. I'm a big fan of just trying to use your launcher on an assist. That or jab. Jab, obviously the safest option in the game. Launcher becomes safe because you can jump cancel the hit. We're going for press. That's probably why we got the parry earlier. You're both dead. Yep. So JP is a very, very high level player. One thing you'll notice as you get to higher echelons of play is most people will try and do media incomings. They'll try and do something because the more time you give people on incoming, they have the liberty to press buttons, which might mess up your setup. JP did not. Oh no, that wasn't right. JP's the Big Band. So, oh no, never mind. I lied. I misunderstood what I saw. Yeah, you just got hard called out with that PBGC. Overextending on block strings. Spawn both. Use that one, give them less bar to keep them in the corner. This is what I mean by if you're not doing something meaty, obviously it's a lot harder in this situation because you had to close down the space, so this is just something I'm using as an example. You give them space to react, and this sort of stuff is what ends up happening. Boop, 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 boop. Falling button, kind of getting checked. JP was waiting for that. Media incoming, left, right. Yeah, this is just getting bullied by JP. Yep. So... kind of gotta hold this on hit if you block anything. 2 medium punch into a clone in your face is not real. You can 100% punish them with invincible DP. I don't know if your jab is fast enough to punish 2 medium punch L clone, which is the low. If they do the high, I'm like 99% certain jab will probably punish. Unless they're somehow too far away, which I don't think Fukuo will be. Yeah, this is kind of just getting mixed. Most of it's pretty safe because it's behind clones too, and then they did cheeky little bursts, not really. Get mixed. Block, good push block. What are we doing with the hit? Yeah. It's not safe on block. Another up forward button round start. I would very much encourage you to start mixing up your round starts more. And that's not just like change what button you're pressing after your up forwards. It's, am I up backing here? Am I... Okay, what? It's, to finish the final, or to finish the previous point, it's not, what am I pressing after up forward? It's, I can up forward here. I can also stay on the ground, do a poke that reaches that round start distance. I can just backdash, try and get out of that. That will lose to them poking. I can just up back. Up back is one of the safest round starts universally in the game. And so obviously this ends up depending a lot on like devolving into more mind games and a lot of specific matchup minutia. Like what are your goals in the matchup? So like versus a Peacock, giving up that space is usually not actually what you want to be doing, but you can't really contest her getting her space, so you just hold your ground and then choose your options afterwards. Just stuff like that. But like variety in round start is so incredibly important, because if you do predictable round starts, especially if a lot of them lose to a lot of the same things, so like up forward button. Like, so for example, if I'm Parasol, I think this works for by Squiggly and Eliza too. If I notice you're doing that all the time, I am doing something like round start jab and just watching you run yourself into my button. If I see you do up forward throw all the time, I'm getting a heavy counter hit. It's a very important thing that players like myself, and I know JP 100% pays attention to round starts. Like these are the details people really start looking at, and so it's important for you to probably start thinking about them too. So now we're going to here. They're hitting your assist. What are you gonna do? In this space, as double, contesting with a button isn't necessarily it. I would either try and jump into it willingly and block whatever the hell is happening and push block them away, or I would try and go probably for H-gun, H-Luger. Because oftentimes trying to contest things is really sketchy. Oh, we just didn't block that. We teched back into the corner and didn't block. That's unfortunate. Pop, 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 pop. JP. Oh, actually that was intentional. Did we teacup? We did, in fact, teacup. Valiant effort. Didn't work. Better luck next time. Okay. So what the hell happened? Thrown on incoming. So funnily enough, this jab is a really good jab. I know it's probably accidental with you going for SSJ. Jab is a really strong big band tool. It's a pretty big hitbox, as you can see here. Controls a lot of space. Very safe, very non-committal. Try and use it a little bit more. Like if you watch Cat Pie, especially in like specific matchups, he presses this a lot. It's a very, very strong tool. And it's a much safer option than all of his actual like invincible reversals. Sometimes all you need is a jab. Unfortunate, didn't get the pickup. We're slightly slower on the buttons. Come on, Timpani. Looks like we wanted Timpani, but hit the ground too fast. Was this an attempted E-break? Attempted super, okay. So if you want to be like super sweaty, you can E-break under this, pick up I think with just 2 LK, and then that would be 2 dead characters. Oh no, it wouldn't. You'd have to snap the corpse because of a double's not mid. But yeah. That's how Ban does the side swap after DP. It's usually how he just side swaps and routes periods. He routes into the DP and then he breaks, picks up with OTG afterwards. Give it a shot. If you're not feeling it, I think it's reasonably hard. But just more information. Might not end up being used for a while, but it's good to know. Okay, how is neutral going this bad? Okay. I don't know about Clyde round start. I'm not entirely sure what options it beats. I can't imagine it would be many. Yeah. And so this is like the dichotomy of playing versus band. It's like you think being full screen is safe, especially if you have a projectile. Band doesn't mind being full screen. He's got Giant Step, he's got Brass. Those two things don't really care much about projectiles. In fact, if you go for projectiles, oftentimes they're faster and win. Staying just inside your best ranges is usually where you like to be versus band. So like 2 LK, 2 HP range, up forward, jump heavy punch. That sort of range is great. Band can't really reach you outside of really, or a little bit more committal options. Yeah, full screen is kind of just asking to get reaction checked for shooting projectiles and other things. So it's like, he's a big scary man, but he doesn't necessarily need to be. Not in your head. Okay. Tech back into the corner. That tech is more fine because you need to do it to not get comboed. I think I still would have rather see a tech out, but that one's iffy. Good patience. Calling Brass there is really sketchy. I'm assuming he doesn't want that DP. Wake up DP. Surprised that didn't get buried. Off the counter. Oh. Do not push block the drill. Push block the super after the drill. Otherwise they can just go, oh, I don't need the super, and stay safe. It's a cheeky little trap. Okay. That was JP saying, I know you like pressing armor out of scary options, or those sweeps might have also ended up being meaty enough to catch you doing unfortunate kick. Either way, JP committing to that 3 times is him saying, I'm in your head, I know what you're going to be doing. Which isn't necessarily a slight on you. JP is phenomenal at noticing player habits. On that point, though, it's really hard to do it to JP, but try and be a little less predictable. Just a small little reminder. Also know that JP is the kind of player who will keep doing the same thing, so if he calls you out once, try and think of immediately what option will beat that, because he's probably just going to do it again. He's the kind of guy to just H-drill super, and then H-drill super again. We're getting mixed. What was our round start? Again, round start Clyde lost to the exact same thing. We choose a lot of the same round starts, regardless of whether they're winning or losing. If we're losing a round start, I'm not going to say never go for a round start you lost with again, but definitely consider changing things up, or at least not showing it for another round or two. I will further reiterate, I do not think round start Clyde is in this latest. You have much safer, less committal options. This is good pressure though. We're mixing. This should be a better character. Unfortunate. Yep. Oh, GP drops those. If you push block the first hit of the super, it's PBGC punishable. Same way how bikes for Parasol is punishable. Push block, the multi-hits keep them close enough, then PBGC gets you out of block stun fast enough. Choose a fast option afterwards. Jab here works just fine. For ban. That is how you punish the super. It is safe in with like a major asterisk next to it. He's in the following button. Pretty sure the next time you go for something in the air, James is gonna anti-air you. Oh, they're just backing. Yeah, they're setting being really patient. You weren't actually posing any major threats. You were doing... You were in the air, so they'd up back, they'd block your air dash in, they'd push you back out, you do M crescent in front of them, which posed zero threat to them, and then they'd either use a love dart, to get rid of the crescent, or they'd block the crescent and use a love dart to check your approach afterwards. Yeah, and like Runa's saying, IAD jump medium punch really high in the air is really scary versus a character like Fuqua, and it's really scary versus a player like JP. That's kind of one of the things I was alluding to when I was saying he's getting ready to anti-air you. He will notice that sort of stuff and really commit to those anti-airs. In general, not to doing IAD, so, and I'll kind of explain this more, choosing options that are like delay being in the air and then air dash in are always going to be scary in this game, because a lot of characters, some characters have better anti-airs than others, but a lot of characters have at least an anti-air that can deal with that. Whether, like, honestly, it's just their launcher half the time. Being slow and predictable leads to somewhat easily getting reactively just dumpstered. This is coming from myself, a person who's put time into like Fortune and Eliza, who's really had to try and iron out the habit of doing up back, delay a second, and then just air dash in. That is one of the freest anti-air counter hits people are gonna get in this game. It's a really sketchy habit to get into. So try and look for that in your play and iron it out. It's not to never do it. I would say do it very rarely if you are. But, yeah, just... It's a really scary habit to be. Punish this. Heavy counter hit. Love to see it. JP waiting patiently. None of this is necessarily awful. I don't fully understand why we'd really be pushing Jump Light Punch here, but this is kind of sort of just neutral. If I wanted to be nitpicky, obviously that's like that should be M. Luger instead, but you might be afraid of them jumping over it, although you usually recover fast enough for them to not punish anything from M. Luger at this distance. All that sort of deal. And then here's kind of the crux of the issue. If we're not mixing in fast falls with our jump heavy punch pressure, it becomes somewhat easy to check the double player. So double has a really, really strong part of her pressure where any hit of this jump heavy punch can be fast followed with jump heavy kick. And this makes your double so much more threatening. And completely changes the timing at which you can go for low throw afterwards. It baits push blocks because they're multi-hits, so they have very little block stun. So if you do it early and they try and push block like the second or third hit, they usually just get backdash and caught by the low. And then when you're mixing it up, if you end up going later, they don't know you're always going to go to the final hit, so it's a lot harder for them to just have a response prepared. And which is what happens here. They know you're going all the way through, you're not a person who's going to fast fall. They know specifically that this answer will completely destroy you pressing a button afterwards. Yeah, and so that's a thing to be watching out for when playing double. Fast falling your jump heavy punch is a very strong tool. Try messing with it a little bit more. It might be awkward at first. Very brave raw tech. JP went for the anti-air here. I think they mistimed it slightly. But this is what I was talking about, like going back to the previous point. Slow anti-air, or slow jump into an air dash in a little bit later. JP's starting to fish for it. I would too. JP. Oh, just block all of this. Don't even bother contesting it. Get the counter hit now. That is level cursed. If you're gonna do this, I want to tell you to Clyde afterwards. I forget if double has a punish that reaches at this range. Because I think they need something that's either 10 or 12 frames that can reach you after the monster animation. But usually doing monster after this prevents a lot of people from punishing you. Once they start punishing you for it, understand it's probably not worth it to go for the monster, although it prevents you from getting as heavily counter hit. Either way, the rock Clydes, in general, are really sketchy. Mixed. Cheeky little band specifics. I actually don't know if that's band specific, but it kind of looks like it would be. Hard to block those. Mix in this game is nuts. Defense in this game is hard. Round start gun is probably one of the safest things you've gone for. It's still somewhat risky. That is very strange. A little bit of Annie mix. We're cooking. Don't have Undizzy. JP knew that. You didn't have any movement, so you couldn't really burst bait. Understanding your routes where the Undizzy is going to come, where you can take a button out to try and account for Undizzy not lining up nicely. Comes with time, as you learn more combo theory, as you play your characters more. Tech back into the corner. Oh, not getting the confirm. Oh, this sucks. Your assist is dead. JP has these. That throw works. This is the sort of stuff we're talking about. This is very reactable. I feel like, I don't know if this is necessarily like the best response from JP, but it works. Don't be afraid to approach on the ground. Annie has some reasonable ground buttons. And if you're gonna go in from the air, you don't need to air dash it. You can just up forward or super jump and then land. Air dash, you can't block during it. If you press a button afterwards, you don't have great things. That was just a... What the heck? There's no way JP wanted anything other than heavy punch. That's a really interesting answer. But yeah, send back full screen. You can approach on the ground. That is an option. Staying on the ground is always going to be a massive threat for Annie because you have two really strong reactive specials, or supers as well. If you ever see them going for a Luger, Pillar of Creation, if they're close enough to the corner and they're close enough to you, you also have Stinger. Stinger has a ton of hit stop and travels like 3/4 of the screen before your opponent can react. So if you catch them in the middle of a special with Stinger, more often than not, they're not going to be able to super cancel and like DHC War to win, and Stinger's just going to land its hit. So staying on the ground, not only for other reasons we talked about, is really strong for Annie. It's similar to how like Squiggly has good air buttons, but she also is a lot more threatening on the ground because that's where she has access to her like full screen tools. So keeping that in mind, playing a little bit more grounded, thinking about reacting to the sort of things your opponents are going to be doing. I know for a fact like Itosha just loves sitting on the ground, literally doing nothing, waiting for their opponent to get antsy in and put a special and then just kill them for it. Annie has some really strong reactive tools that she completely loses access to once she's in the air. Yep, we're gonna get chipped out there. Alright, that's it. So, I know I focused on a couple things all over the place. Very minor things. You still have a little bit of a tech back into the corner habit, but it looks like you're thinking about it, and there are definitely times where you're choosing to tech the opposite direction, which is good. I'd also just recommend throw a natural getup occasionally. People are so used to you teching that they'll default into setups that work great on people who are teching, because teching is also standardized. If you do just normal getup, there are not standardized wake up times in SG. So if people don't have setups for it, sometimes you kind of just all of a sudden are blocking a mid rather than a high-low, and it gets you out of situations. So instead of teching out of the corner or like opting to tech at all, obviously don't do this if it's like a blue bounce and the combo will drop if you tech. That's the perfect time to always be teching. But if there's just like a random hit that they're not getting a combo off of and they're expecting you to tech and they're like gonna try and tech chase, sometimes just doing nothing really throws people off in this game. Very minor detail. I know I like talking about it a lot, which is kind of why I'm just addressing it again. Round starts, I think, were one of my biggest gripes with these games. We don't always gotta go forward. Especially on characters like Double or Parasol. They can go forward, and throwing it in there, nice little spice of like just dash of aggression. Sure, 100%. You can really catch people off, especially if you're reacting to the round starts they have started showing. If they're starting to go, oh, they're not contesting me, I can be a little bit more cheeky on round start, and then all of a sudden you just hit them with the up forward jump light punch as like a Parasol. Sometimes you just win round start. But you are often losing round start because you are consistently choosing up forward air throw, up forward button, Clyde round start even. Create a baseline of like 2 or 3, even more if you're feeling like it, round starts that are safe, that you're comfy with, and these can be as simple as just, I'm up backing, not pressing a button, I might call my assist. That's a very solid round start in this game. That can get you very far, just kind of going to neutral, taking no risk, and saying, we are playing a game of SG. I'm not coin flipping the start of this game. It can do wonders. It's a very, very solid round start in this game. Obviously, I went through some of the other options, like just choosing a button that reaches at round start distance, so like Parasol's jab, double 2 HP, although that one's a little bit more committal. Just stuff like that. Think about some of the things you can be doing. Think about how you can use your assists to keep them safer. That's the whole sort of spiel for round starts. And then once you have that baseline you're comfortable with, you can then start experimenting with, I see they're doing this a lot. If I choose this option I haven't shown before, I'm pretty sure it wins, or I know for a fact it wins in this situation. I'll throw it in here. And then that's where you really start getting into the mind games of round start. It's fun. You can put a lot of thought into just going down the rabbit hole of that sort of stuff. We talked about delaying your air dashes on Annie. For the Parasol, for the earlier games versus Exeem, it was weird because y'all were playing Dahlia and Parasol, and then there were definitely situations where I felt like both y'all could have been shooting projectiles, and then neither of y'all were. And then, as we saw later down the line, you autopiloted in some dangerous spots into doing an L shot, and typically the like big like danger sign for Parasol to like do your best to not autopilot into any special, especially a shot, is if they are hovering somewhere in like the area above your head in front of you. Like sometimes you go, oh, but they're gonna land on, like they're gonna land here, so my L shot will catch them and they'll block it. Or you think, oh yeah, my M shot will get there in time. I can't tell you how many times I've just lost Parasol to thinking I can, or honestly, I'm not even thinking. I just autopilot into going, I think this is a good time to tier. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, they have an air dash. They're on my head and I'm getting counter hit for doing a special in their face. Learning when and where to shoot, and at a point, more importantly, when not to shoot your shots with Parasol is incredibly important. They're a very strong tool to be used in moderation. And obviously I can focus more on that on future VoDs, or you can just feel it out by playing. And I mean, the best way to understand what you did was wrong is getting bonked over the head for it repeatedly. Also, we saw in the Parasol, understanding when stand heavy punch will not combo into L shot and going into snipe. That's another big part of her kit that you'll just sort of learn the range. I've played the character for 1,000+ hours at this point. And so it's like, for me, it's automatic. For you, you'll need to be focusing. And so it's like, it's something you need to think about when you're going into the stand heavy punch. Do I have the space to L shot, or do I need to snipe? And then that's kind of something you just want to have in the back of your head for stand heavy punch always. And eventually, after enough of thinking about it actively, it becomes just instinct. You go, I don't need to think about it. This is a distance I need to snipe. And then that's, in general, just how you build the habits. Talking about the second team we watched, so your set versus JP, double Annie banned. You're doing some things we'd very much expect for the team. When double was eventually mid, you would do mash into cat heads. Solid. It's like, it's been the classic for SG for so long. When talking about your pressure, you jump a lot. For Annie, we talked about why that, and especially the air dash after, you constantly being in the air is the issue. Double can get away with it, but again, she also has some really strong grounded tools. Lugers are great. Her dash up throw and her dash up low are obnoxiously good. 2 HP is a really strong tool. 5 heavy punch is a really good space controlling tool, especially if you cancel it into a Luger afterwards. Like, if you get in that, like, just half a screen distance and do 5 heavy punch and Luger, it's really hard for anyone to do much about it. Obviously, there are going to be specific answers, and then you start learning how to play around them. But as a general baseline, mess around with that more. Stay on the ground. Big Band, similarly, his jump light kick is a really good button. I think you saw that a lot. I talked about how his jab is a phenomenal tool. Try and press it a little more. And especially because you can go into lights after it, you can go into your kicks after it. Even if they block it, it's like jab, jab, 2LK, and then you're still pretty safe on block. If they push block you out, it's still kind of your turn. You can opt to like call an assist, E-break at them. You can opt to dash jump, jump light kick at them. You can just walk forward slowly and be menacing and threaten low throw. It's a really good way. It's a really good tool to like check people for not tight approaches or not tight setups if they're mixing you and you're like, I can just jab here. That is so much less committal than Band's actual reversal options, like invulnerable reversal options. Other than that, like on hit, you're fine. I don't have any major complaints. We talked a little bit about Parasol knowing how to like stabilize your routes, but she's newer to you. I'm not going to be super upset about you not understanding like the minutia of oh, I need to delay here to keep this a double snap, yada yada yada. That stuff happens. I think that's just about everything I have to say. Again, usual spiel. Any further questions? Just ping me. I will gladly get back on them. Try and re-explain anything. You know the deal. You've been here plenty of times. That is it for the night.